So officials of the Narcotics Control Board, NACOB, in collaboration with various agencies, will today destroy drugs seized from various dealers and syndicates. The drugs include cocaine, cannabis, sativa, heroin, and other methamphetamines. Patricia Gasu is with the NACOB team, and embarking on this exercise. We'll be joining her shortly to give us an update on what's happening so far. We'll be finding out what the street value of the drugs being destroyed are, and whether we can be told exactly who these drugs were seized from. But I've been joined in studio by Godslav van den Bosch. He is with the counseling unit of NACOB, and I've got Benedicta Gali as well. She's with the Education Department at NACOB. Monday, June 26th, is International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. And well, ahead of that, we just want to discuss a few things and tie it in with today's exercise. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. Sure. So we hear all these big names, like one that I just tried to pronounce and got tongue twisted. What exactly is a narcotic substance?
Well, a narcotic substance is any natural or synthetic drug that affects the way the body feels, the person feels, the way the system reacts. And legally speaking, a narcotic substance is any illicit drug.
Interesting. And we are talking about a day set aside to help people understand the impact of using some of these drugs. How well do you think we are taking this as a society, really? Do we really understand what all of this is about? And are we winning the fight against it?
Okay, so let me quickly say that some of these things, I don't know how it's being perceived outside, but I think we are doing a good job as to how we are handling the situation. Again, on a daily basis, from Monday to Friday, our officers are on the field. For example, we actually go to schools. We are very attached with most of the rehabilitation centers. Our officers are on the field every day and every night, actually trying to find a way of actually curbing the problem. It's just like any other crime we have on the streets, like armed robbery, rape, and stuff like that. So we are doing our very best to be able to curb the problem.
Interesting. Now, you're with the counseling unit.
Sure.
Sometime, it should be early this year or sometime last year, I spoke to one man who is for the use of Indian hemp weed, and he came talking about all the health properties, and for him, we should legalize but regulate the use, as we've seen in other parts of the world, where some permit it for medical and recreational use. You're with the counseling unit, and obviously we've been having a lot of conversation about this. So you at NACOB, I'm sure you've done a few studies. What would your response be to such a person who comes and gives you a tall list of the benefits of taking these drugs, and how other countries are even making a lot of economic gain from producing and selling the drugs?
Okay, so I'll actually touch it. I'll take it from the fact that we have actually given out the platform to allow people to talk about it, because previously it wasn't like that. You hardly had people actually publicly talking about most of these things. So we are actually happy that people are actually talking about it. Now we are happy because then people are much more aware of what the problem is. Again, we should be very careful, because most of these things, you know, they go a long way to affect us, even though we are actively involved and happy about it. Because again, you mentioned about it being for recreational purposes. It can go a long way to affect, you know, your body parts. Because you can talk about the likes of your liver, you can talk about the likes of your kidney, and other parts of your body. We've heard stories about, you know, the very famous Bob Marley actually having cancer out of, you know, marijuana. These are actually stories that are coming up. But we're happy this dialogue is going on. But marijuana has its own damning effects, and we actually always will speak against it, because again, it's in the laws. It's not permitted. Its use, possession, and the rest are not permitted.
All right. Okay. So just like the way you're saying, marijuana or Indian hemp or weed, as we locally call it, has its own disadvantages. Some use it for medical purposes, and even cocaine in some pharmaceutical companies, just that it's regulated. And so, well, as the conversation goes on, we may decide what we want to do as a nation, but from the point of NACOB and being with the counseling unit, what do you think the direction of Ghana as a country should be? Should we go for it? Should we even encourage this sort of conversation about legalizing but regulating?
For that, actually, I can't really say much about it. But what I'll say is, on a day-to-day basis, for me, for my line of work, I actually encounter clients day in, day out. And they tell me that if they knew about what these effects were, they won't even go into it in the first place because they're actually regretting. So we tend to use that path to talk to the young ones, not to actually go into it at all. Because trust me, I know a client who tried it just once and actually just ran mad. I actually met him in one of the psychiatric homes. So these are some of the stories about it. They might sit out there and actually preach about it, but trust me, it's actually affecting people. Just in May, about 140 people actually reported for treatment for some of these drugs we're talking about. Okay. The situation is serious.
All right, because let me just pause you there a bit and come to you, Benedicta. The education department of NACOB, what really do you do? Because I don't know, probably a lot of people will say we can't feel you, you know. What exactly do you do in terms of education?
Well, the education department of the Narcotics Control Board usually embarks on trainings. So we go to schools, both junior high schools, some primary schools, even the secondary schools, tertiary institutions, to educate them on the harmful effects of these drugs. We also go to churches and talk to them about the effects of these drugs. And we have offices across the country in almost all the regions that help with this education. So they do this in all the country to talk to people about the harmful effects of drugs and then the need for them to stop it.
Well, okay, so and apart from the prevention and education, we know that and enforcement and control, your third mandate is treatment, which you speak of. And so can I just walk into your office at NACOB and say, look, I just got onto some drugs and I want to be treated without being arrested or something like that?
Yes, people come in, day out with such problems. That is why we have the counseling unit. So people with such problems who come are referred to the professionals at the counseling units.
And I won't be arrested?
No. So they are taken through the necessary, whatever they need to go through, and then they are referred to any rehab center, depending on what the person has to offer, the amount of money the person is willing to pay. I think God Love will have something more to add to that.
Yes. Currently in Accra, we actually work with 5 rehabilitation centers. Day in, day out, we go there on a daily basis again. We go there to actually talk to them. We actually have counseling with them. We have psychotherapy with them. We actually talk to them about how, what the devastating effects of the drugs are. And what we do is, in line with that, we have to also make sure that they are following standards. They are actually doing the right things, because here there are issues about human rights, and their well-being is actually what we're actually looking out for. So we make sure that as we embark on our counseling bit, we make sure that they're also following standards and taking care of the clients as they are supposed to.
Let's talk about this year's International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. What exactly is NACOB doing?
Okay, so we have actually set in line some activities. We have actually started it already. We went to Kwabrina Community School, I think on Tuesday, to actually sensitize the kids about drug effects. And I believe, they really appreciated it, because coming from their response and all that, they really appreciated it. Again, we had a donation to 3 of the rehab centers yesterday, and another very good one, and they actually appreciated it. Today we are going to do the destruction of exhibits. We seize all these drugs. What do we do with them? Again, yes, we set this day aside to destroy these drugs and make sure that, they are disposed of. You understand? And on Saturday, we're going to have a health walk for staff and all people involved. And on Monday, which is the 26th of June, the World Drugs Day, what we are going to be doing is it's going to happen in two folds. The national launch is going to be in Akimoda in the eastern region, and here in Accra, it's going to happen in Laboni Secondary School, and yes, those are some of the activities you're going to embark on.
And so, well, apart from that, what else should we expect to see from you?
Well, apart from that, what we are doing here also forms part of the activities to mark the World Drugs Day. So it's a year-long program. So we have a lot of programs rolled out. So as the year goes, we will inform you about what is happening.
All right. Many thanks for your company here. Sure. Benedicta Gale is with the Education Department of the Narcotics Control Board, NACOB, and Godslav van den Bosch is with the Counseling Unit of NACOB. We are unable to bring you that live feed of the destruction of some narcotic drugs by NACOB. We'll bring you that in subsequent bulletins. But people can contact you to be part of the activities to commemorate the day. That is on the 26th of June. That's the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Can people do that?
Yes, people can do that.
And
yesterday we had a group of people coming to the office to inform us about their interest in doing something to also help educate the youth on the harmful effects of drugs. Our office is located at Airport Avenue, so I can put out this number. Anyone can call to offer any kind of help, that is to educate students, churches, any organized body that needs this information to go out there, because this drug problem is so serious and it's spawning a lot of crime, turning the youth upside down. They go into all sort of bad habits. So it is something that needs to be tackled. And I believe education is what is the key for now, is what needs to be done to help people know about it and to come out of it through counseling.
You are going to put out a number?
Yes. The number is 0299 40 1129.
Okay.
Let me quickly chip in. It's actually not just in Accra. We have regional offices too. So it's equally happening in all these regional offices, and they have activities lined up that they're going to embark on. So if they're in the regions, they should try and contact our offices in the regions, and I'm sure they would do them well.
And your offices in the regions do the same work you do? Counseling,
education, enforcement?
Wow.
Yes, we are trying.
It is not only the airports. Apart from the head office here, we have another regional office here in Accra. We have our offices at the airports. We have some of them at the seaports. And then we have some of them at the borders as well. Then the regional offices also come in to help with the education. So they go to the various towns, the cities, and then to educate students, churches, any organized group about the harmful effects of drugs. We also go to the marketplaces, lorry stations, to educate drivers.
How do you do that? I've never
we usually mount exhibitions.
Okay.
So we locate a particular station, we go there, mount an exhibition, we take them through the flexes we have, and then it is surprising that some of them don't even know about the harmful effects of some of these drugs, especially when we talk about cocaine and heroin. A lot of people know about marijuana, but talking about cocaine and heroin, people don't know about the harmful effects. So it is really an eye-opener for those that we talk to.
All right, I'll ask you to hold on a bit. My colleague who's with the NACOB officials who are destroying the narcotic drugs is on the phone with me. Hello, Patricia.
Good morning.
Good morning, Patricia. I hear you have one of the directors there with you.
Yes, I have the Deputy Secretary here with me, Mr. Michael Ado. So I'm handing over to him.
All right. All right. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Michael Ado. Hello, Mr. Ado.
Hello.
Hi. Many thanks for your time this morning, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
All right. We just briefly want to find out what the street value of the drugs being destroyed are.
Please come again.
I'm asking about the street value of the drugs being destroyed in terms of money. How much do they cost?
I'm sorry, I will not be able to give you the actual value now.
Can you give us an estimation?
Value of drugs fluctuates depending on the supply and then the demand trend in the market. What we have now, largely cannabis, we have about 500 kilograms of cannabis. We have some amount of cocaine. We have about 20 kg of cocaine. We have other drugs in various quantities. The amount, I will not be able to, let's put it to be about $2 million.
$2 million. Now, can you briefly tell us, we know these drugs were seized from some individuals and syndicates, but do you mind sharing with us any, for example, notable individuals or any of the arrests that's already in the news and how they were seized?
I will not be able to mention names of particular people, but there are many. Some of them were even seized as far back as 2005, 2004, 2006. Some of them, the culprits have been sentenced. Some of them have even finished with their sentences.
Okay.
Some of them, when the case was ongoing, they died.
Okay.
So these are drugs that we have applied to the court that we don't have need for them again because the cases are over, and then they should give us the permission to destroy them.
All right.
That is what
all right, Mr. Ado, NACOB, per court order, donated some confiscated items of Nayeli Ametefe to three rehab centers yesterday. Now, these drugs being destroyed, you just told us, should cost about $2 million. Now, why couldn't these drugs be donated or maybe sold to pharmaceutical or cosmetic companies so the state can earn some money?
These are drugs that cannot be used by the pharmaceutical industry. The way they prepare or manufacture cocaine is such that you cannot use it for any other purpose. It is only for consumption by those who consume drugs. These are not pharmaceutical drugs. They are narcotic drugs, and they are banned drugs, which must be destroyed. So all these things are going to be burnt with fire. That is what the court has given order for us to do. It wasn't wise for us to destroy property like that which we gave out yesterday. But for the drugs which, if entered into human beings, will harm them, we will need to destroy them.
All right, Mr. Ado, some may argue, for example, with Indian hemp. Some of them are used for cosmetic purposes. The ones you have cannot be sold. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, these ones cannot be sold. Cannabis are in different forms. We have different forms of cannabis. This is cannabis sativa, and this one is having a psychotropic effect on the human being. And that which is used for cosmetics is a different form of cannabis altogether. There are many forms of cannabis, but this one is cannabis sativa, which has a psycho effect on human beings.
All right, Mr. Ado, sorry, we're running out of time. Quickly, now, we know that NACOB is concerned with the formulation and enforcement of narcotic laws in the country. For some time now, there have been discussions about legalizing but regulating the use of Indian hemp, for example. Now, June 26th is International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. What would you like to say, basically, to add to the conversation?
What we are saying is not to legalize these drugs. It is that those who consume the drugs are not criminals. We shouldn't criminalize them.
Okay.
Those who are addicted. It is a disease that they need assistance. We need to support them. We need to help them so that they get out of that condition.
All right.
That is all we are saying.
Thank you very much for your time.
And not to decriminalize the whole thing.
All right, we appreciate your time. Mr. Michael Ado is a Deputy Executive Director of NACOB, and he's been talking to us about some narcotic drugs that are to be destroyed later today by NACOB. And I've also had in studio with me some representatives of NACOB. Unfortunately, our time is up and we cannot continue the conversation. Hopefully on Monday, which is the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, we sure will have an extensive conversation, and hopefully you can bring in your questions and we'll get answers for you.